everyone, my name is Chloe and today I'm here to do my June in and out. So if you've not seen one of these videos, what I do is I tell you everything that I'm hauling for the month as well as everything that I'm unhauling for the month. And with the goal in the back of my brain to always take off more than I'm bringing in, but that's not always successful and I'm not losing sleep over that this year. But this month, I think I did it. I think I am taking out more than I'm bringing in. So pat on the back for that. Let's get into the unhaul first. So this is going to be kind of unexciting because a lot of these are either books that you have heard me talk about a lot because I've just read them recently or I just don't remember a lot about them or whatever. So let's just get into it. The first is Nighttime is My Time by Mary Higgins Clark. This is about a serial killer. I think he calls himself the Owl. And we get the perspective of the serial killer as well as the victims that he is getting. He is targeting this group of girls that all sat together in high school. It's a high school reunion. There's like one or two girls left or women left. And he's after them. Will they survive? Will they not? I don't know. Older Mary Higgins Clark, I'm remembering is just not my thing. Next is The Forgotten Road by Glennis Peters. So you guys, this one is actually one that is funny because I bought it twice. We had our big library book sale. You guys saw the haul that I did from that. I'll link the video down below if you missed it. But we had our big library book sale, and our library always has a library bookstore, a Friends of the Library bookstore. So I got home from that library book sale and went to put like this stuff in my haul stack and realized that I had already bought this from the Friends of the Library bookstore. So I have 2 copies now, and I have yet to read it. So I don't know if it's good, but I know I don't need 2 copies that are literally the exact same. So that's what's going on here. All of these books are going to be going on my Pango bookstore. So if you are interested in any of them, go ahead. I will always have that link down below. Go ahead and do it. Yeah, so next is Strands of Truth by Colleen Coble. I read this one and I honestly have like no memory of it. I think Colleen Coble is just not for me, so this is going to somebody who loves her because I know a lot of people do. Next is this Primary Bible Reader by Abeka. We are potentially switching our language arts curriculum. I homeschool my kids, if you don't know. We're potentially switching our language arts curriculum to a program called Abeka. Part of their first grade is this Bible reader. My kids and I do a devotional every day, and so I thought this would be a good one to fill in next. However, this is all in King James Version, and that's hard for me to understand, let alone my 5 and 3-year-old. So we are going to let this go and continue with the other things we're working on. Next is Ellie is Cool Now. This is another like high school reunion story, and this is about this girl. She is a TV writer. She was a nerd kind of outcast in her teen years, and now she goes back and she's cool now or whatever, and she's trying to like kind of make things like what can I can't think of the word, but like repair some trauma that happened to her, I guess, in the time. Well, these people are all in their 30s. Like, all right, I can't remember if it's 10 years, so maybe they're like 28, but whatever. They acted like they were 16, and it was just not good. Next is 6 Months Later. This is a story about a girl. So this is touted as a thriller, or marketed as a thriller anyway. And the first like 75%, not thrilling at all. This is about a girl who wakes up one day and it's 6 months later and her life has completely changed. She's in high school and she is like kind of a B-list person, you know. I mean, she's not Miss Popular, but she's not a social outcast. She's kind of right in the middle there, and she wakes up and now she's dating the football all-star. She's Miss Popular. She's like everything, and she's like, what just happened in the last 6 months? Like, how did we get from A to B? And so that's what most of the book is just like figuring out friendship dynamics, all that kind of stuff. And her thinking like, what happened? Well, then we find out what happened, and it's this big, like, I don't know. It just, it was a big hullabaloo that I thought was kind of out of left field and like missed the tone of this book, and I just didn't really care. So there's that. Next, these like this kind of pains me every time, but Diane Chamberlain's Secret Lives. This is one of her really old ones too, and again, I think like her first early ones just aren't for me. I don't remember much about this book, but I remember I didn't love it. So on to somebody else. If you want to read her entire backlist, I'm helping one Pango book at a time to fill in this backlist because I wanted to own her entire backlist, but I'm not going to keep this because I'm not going to read it again. Next is Love Walked In and Belong to Me. So this is a series. I think it's maybe 3 books by Marisa de los Santos. And I started to read Love Walked In, and I ended up DNFing it. And I just could not get into it. It's about a woman who she meets this man. He walks into the cafe that she works in, and supposedly her life changes. And then it's a little girl who lives with her dad. There's some stories. You kind of see what's coming the whole time. And I did go ahead and read some spoilers to see if I was missing anything, and I don't feel like I was. They break the I need to figure out what this is. Like, they break the fourth wall or whatever, where they talk to you as a reader. And she's like obsessed with classic film romance movies, and it was like over the top. Our main characters were annoying. I just didn't like it. So I'm definitely not going to read number 2 because it's even bigger. This one's not big, but this one's not huge either, but it's bigger and it follows the same characters, and I'm not into it. Next is Marina Paladino's Jersey Italian Love Story. So this is an arc that I got. It's by Terry Lynn Defino, yes. And this is about Verena Paladino. She is a 70-year-old, I think, and it follows 4 generations. And the back says, like, the synopsis says it's about setting up Verena. Well, it kind of is, but it's more about, like, a family friend, all these other, like, side tangent things that are going on. And we get a lot of, like, Jersey slang as well as Italian slang and definitions of those words, and I really liked that part. But otherwise, this book seemed to have virtually no point, and it wasn't my kind of humor. It just wasn't for me. Next is In Real Life by Jessica Love. So I just read this one, and it's about 2 teenagers who are 16 or whatever, and their older siblings met each other at a concert one night, and so then somehow they got connected. They've been friends virtually for 4 years. They talk to each other every morning, every night, 17 times in between, and then they finally decide to meet. And so they are going, he lives in Vegas, she lives in California, so she is going with her sister and her best friend to Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But when they get there, things are not exactly as they guessed. It's a surprise to Nick, the guy, and things are not what they seem. This book is one that I definitely feel like is a YA that does not translate outside of the YA audience. So if you are 16, 17, 18 and want to read this, I think you may enjoy it. If you are a teen of today who communicates a lot virtually and all of that, for me, this was the teen angst, the miscommunication, all of that was just kind of annoying. The characters read a little younger than they were, a little more immature, and it just had a hard time translating for a 30-something. So I'm just not the audience for this. It was okay. And like I said, I think today's young people would appreciate it a little more than I did. Next is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. So I think with this, I've really decided that Christina Lauren is not the author duo for me. I loved Love in Other Words, and everything else has just been okay. And this one was the same. The concept is that it is about a dating show, a bachelorette-style dating show. And so the guy who is having to produce it, as well as the girl who's going to be the bachelorette or whatever, it is their romance, and it's really just a will they won't they of them. However, like the dating show is really just the background. Now this is about Fizzy. She is the best friend from the soulmate equation, so they're using the DNA technology from the soulmate equation. So if you haven't read that one, it may help a little bit to understand the technology, but whatever. It's a technology in which your DNA determines your percentage of compatibility with somebody. And so on this bachelorette type show, America's going to vote, and then at the end we'll see, did they pick the one that she's most compatible with. But like I said, I was all for that synopsis, but that is not really what this book is about. It's just about a will they, won't they with them, and it was very okay for me. I gave it 3 stars. And then the last in the Unhaul is Postcards from Summer. This is a very thick YA. It's full of summer stuff and full of drama, and it's in Mackinac Island, I think. And so it's got good summer vibes. I just won't read this again. Mackinac Island. So I won't read it again. It's a good cover, and yeah, it was a chunky one, but it is a bright pink book, and it's kind of pretty, but I won't read it again. So that is everything that I'm unhauling. Now let's get into the hauls. Okay, so like I said, this stack is a little bit smaller, thankfully, but it's not a lot smaller. So let's just get into it. So the first one is Verity by Colleen Hoover. So this is just, I saw it at our bookstore in the library and wanted to have my own copy because I don't have my own copy, which shocks me because I really enjoyed this book. It is a Colleen Hoover's kind of take on thrillers, and I am a big Coho fan, so I really enjoyed this and would recommend it. But I know she's so divisive that I am hesitant to even say that. Next is Jane Green's Sister Stardust, and so Jane Green is an author that I love. She is a British women's fiction chick lit author, and I had never even heard of this one, and so I saw it in the library bookstore and got it. So this says, in her first novel, inspired by a true story, Jane Green re-images the life of troubled icon Talitha Getty, I don't know, in this transporting story from a forgotten chapter of the swinging 60s. So from afar, Talitha Getty's life seems perfect. If I'm butchering that, I really apologize. In her 20s, already a famous socialite and actress, she left London for an exotic palace in Marrakesh with her husband, Paul Getty, the famous oil heir. There, she presided over a swirling expat scene filled with music, art, free love, and counterculture taking root across the world. When Claire arrives in London from her small town, so this is somebody else. When Claire arrives in London from her small town, she never expects to cross paths with a woman as magnetic as Talitha Getty. Yearning for adventure and independence, she's swept off to Marrakesh, where the two become kindred spirits, but beneath Talitha's glamorous facade lurks a darkness few can understand. As their friendship blossoms and the two grow closer, the realities of Talitha's precarious existence set off a chain of dangerous events that will alter Claire's life forever. Bum, bum, bum. So this sounds like something completely different. And like I said, because I love this author and her chick lit women's fiction, I just was interested to see what she does with this. It's not very long. It's under 300 pages, I think. So I'm excited to see what she does with this because normally her stuff is very, very lighthearted, and this sounds a little heavier. So we'll see. Next is Celestine, Our Missing Hearts. And Celestine is one, there's a lot of reasons this makes me nervous. Celestine is one that I have not loved anything by. Reese's Book Club also makes me nervous because I don't love a lot of Reese picks. But this was $2 at our bookstore, and aside from the Target sticker, it's in perfect condition. So this is, 12-year-old Bird Gardner lives a quiet existence with his loving but broken father, a former linguist who now shelves books in a university library. Bird knows not to ask too many questions, stand out too much, or stray too far. For a decade, their lives have been governed by laws written to preserve American culture in the wake of years of economic instability and violence. To keep the peace and restore prosperity, the authorities are not allowed to relocate children of dissidents. Dissidents? What is that? Especially those of Asian origin, and libraries have been forced to remove books seen as unpatriotic, including the work of Bird's mother, Margaret, a Chinese-American poet who left the family when he was 9 years old. So this sounds like it's got a lot of good social commentary, and I think Celestine does that well. Bird has grown up disavowing his mother and poems. He doesn't know her work or what happened to her, and he knows he shouldn't wonder, but when he receives a mysterious letter containing only a cryptic drawing, he is pulled into a quest to find her. So this sounds really interesting and like something that I'm going to give a shot. So we'll see. Next is another kind of beloved author, Emily Giffin, Meant to Be. So Emily Giffin's oldest stuff, like her original works, and were just some of my favorites. Love the One You're With is one that I call one of my best favorite books of all times, but I have not reread it because I'm terrified to. But some of her newer stuff, I have heard a lot of hits and misses. And this one was, this is one of her relatively newer. It's not super new, but whatever. You guys probably don't care. 2022. So it is pretty new, but called Meant to Be. A restless golden boy and a girl with a troubled past navigate a love story that may be doomed in the irresistible new novel from Emily Giffin. So the Kingsley family is an American royalty, beloved for their military heroics, political service, and unmatched elegance. In 1967, after Joseph S. Kingsley Jr. is killed in a tragic accident, his charismatic son inherits the weight of that legacy. But Joe III is a free spirit and a little bit reckless. Despite his best intentions, he has trouble meeting the expectations of a nation as well as those of his exacting mother, Dottie. Meanwhile, no one ever expected much of Kate Cooper. She too grew up fatherless, and after her mother marries an abusive man, she's forced to fend for herself. Discovered at age 16 by a model scout, she decides that her looks may be her only ticket out of the cycle of disappointment that her mother's always inhabited. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this almost kind of sounds like a Meghan and Harry type story, but not quite. So I don't know. I'm interested. She's British too, I think. Is she? I might have made that up, but this will be interesting. I just love her writing style, so I have high expectations. Next is Lisa Jewell, The Night She Disappeared. So one of my best friends in real life, Jessie, if you're watching this, I don't think she does, but this one is, I totally blame her. Amazon was having a buy two, get one free, and so she was reading this from the library and said it was so good, and so I had to buy it because Lisa Jewell does short chapters and thrillers in a way that I typically really enjoy, and she said it was so good. So this it's a beautiful summer night in the charming English suburb when 19-year-olds Tallulah and Zach disappear after partying at the massive country estate of a new college friend. 1 year after the case runs cold, a writer moves into a cottage on the edge of the woods that borders the same estate where the couple disappeared. Known locally as the Dark Place, the dense forest is her favorite area for long walks, and it's on one such stroll that she stumbles upon a mysterious note that simply reads, "Dig here." Could this be a clue to the young couple's disappearance? And what exactly is buried in the haunted ground? I don't know. That sounds really good. So I'm excited. Next is one that I received from the publisher. So this is The Cottage on Glass Lake by Amy Pines. That glare is not doing me any favors. But in this charming beach read for fans of Jill Shalvis and Susan Mallory, two authors that I really enjoy, two women discover the joys of an unexpected friendship and an inner strength neither knew she had. So this sounds like a women's fiction. Definitely, I'm assuming there's going to be a hint of romance, but Dr. Becca Wayland had the perfect life, or so she thought, until she learned her husband had cheated on her after a decade of marriage. With divorce papers signed, Becca throws her trademark caution to the wind and agrees on an impromptu month-long vacation at a beach house with Sadie, a woman she's known all her life but doesn't really know at all. Free spirit Sadie Bloom is Becca's opposite in every way, living in the moment and wasting zero energy on what comes next. But the pastry chef's "nothing bothers me" exterior hides a fear she's not ready to face, one that may jeopardize a future she never realized she wanted. So I think there's probably going to be some bumps and bruises along the way as a free spirit and kind of a rule follower learn to spend a month together, but sounds really interesting. So yeah, sounds fun. I love like summery women's fiction, so this feels good. Next is another one from the publisher, and this is The Quiet Tenant by Clements McCallan. And this one is it's blurbed on the back by Megan Abbott, James Patterson, Alifair Burke, Kimberly McCrae, Brad Thor, Alex Segura. And I think this is about a serial killer, and we get perspectives from like the three main women in his life. Let's see. He's murdered 8 women, and there's a 9th he has earmarked for death. Let's see. When Aiden's wife dies, he and his daughter Cecilia are forced to move. Aiden has no choice but to bring Rachel, which is his 9th captive, along, introducing her to Celia as a family friend who needs a place to stay. After 5 years of captivity, Aiden is betting on Rachel's being too brainwashed and fearful to attempt an escape. But Rachel is a fighter and a survivor, and she recognizes that Cecilia might be the lifeline she's been waiting for. As Rachel tests the boundaries of her new living situation, she begins to form a connection with Cecilia, and when Emily, a local restaurant owner, develops a crush on the handsome widower, she finds herself drawn to Rachel and Cecilia's orbit, coming dangerously close to discovering his secret. Told through the perspectives of Rachel, so his captive, Cecilia, his daughter, and Emily, this random lady, The Quiet Tenant explores the psychological impact of Aiden's crimes on the women in his life and the bonds between those women that give them the strength to fight back. So, sounds interesting. Sounds like something I have not read before, and that is always hard to find. Next is The Art of Losing Yourself by Kate Ganscher, and I think this might have been Amanda from Book Lover Amanda somebody was talking about this book, and it made me have to have it. So just like in my dream, I was drowning and nobody even noticed. Every morning, Carmen Hart pastes on her made-for-TV smile and broadcasts the weather. She's the Florida Panhandle's favorite meteorologist, married to everyone's favorite high school football coach. They're the perfect-looking couple, live in a nice house, and attend church on Sundays. From the outside, she's a woman who has it all together, but on the inside, Carmen Hart struggles with doubt. She wonders if she's made a mistake when she married her husband. She wonders if God is as powerful as she once believed. Sometimes she wonders if he exists at all. After years of secret losses and empty arms, she's not so sure anymore, until Carmen's sister, 17-year-old runaway, Gracie Fisher, steps in and changes everything. Gracie is caught squatting in a boarded-up motel that belongs to Carmen's aunt, and their mother is off on one of her benders, which means Carmen has no option but to take Gracie in. Is it possible for God to use a broken teenager in an abandoned motel to resurrect a woman's faith in marriage? Can two half-sisters make each other whole? So this sounds like heartbreaking, emotional. Infertility is kind of a buzzword for me, so this sounds really good. Next is one that I feel like needs no explanation, Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. This was $1 at our library bookstore, and this is about a man who was unjustly put in prison for a crime he did not commit. And this is a true story about the redeeming power of mercy. And I feel like we can all use a lesson in this, in grace and mercy. And he is a gifted Brian Stevenson was a gifted young attorney when he founded the Equal Justice Initiative. It is a practice dedicated to defending the poor, the wrongly condemned, and those trapped in the furthest reaches of our criminal justice system. So this is about one of the first cases was Walter McMillan, a young man sentenced to die for a notorious murder he didn't commit. The case drew Stevenson into a tangle of conspiracy, political machination. Gosh, you guys, I feel like I don't know words. These are all tricking me up, but I've heard great things about this, so I am excited to read it. Next is the Fifth Avenue Story Society by Rachel Hawk. So Rachel Hawk is a Christian fiction author that I have read a couple from and I have enjoyed. So this is about an invitation to join the Fifth Avenue Story Society gives 5 New York strangers a chance to rewrite their own stories. That's really all I needed to know. Rachel Hawk, bookish, cool. This looks like a cozy place I want to be. But executive assistant Lexa is eager for a much-deserved promotion, but her boss is determined to keep her underemployed. Literature professor Jet is dealing with a broken heart, as well as a nagging suspicion his literary idol might be a fraud. Uber driver Chuck just wants a second chance with his kids. Aging widower Ed is eager to write the true story of his incredible marriage. And Coral, queen of the cosmetics industry, has broken her engagement and is on the verge of losing her great-grandmother's multi-million-dollar empire. So it's interesting that these are not all women. I kind of would have thought they would be all women. So we've got 3 men, I think, and 2 women. 5 New Yorkers receive an anonymous, mysterious invitation to the Fifth Avenue Story Society, and they think it's a practical joke, but no one knows who sent it or why. No one's heard of the literary society, and no one's prepared to reveal their deepest secrets to a room of strangers. So we'll see. I think this will be a great friendship story, bookish story, all of that. And then the last one is a middle grade from Owl's Nest Publishing, which I just love. Katie from Life Between Words, she is one of the ones who started that, and this just looks so cute. Not exactly love. 13-year-old Lita Johnson suffers from a secret and severe case of semi-requited love, meaning she has a friend who is a boy, but not her boyfriend, but she wishes he was. With Rolling and Rocking St. Luke's first annual Valentine's Day roller skating party rapidly approaching, Lita wonders what will come of her unspoken dream and the mysterious cat that has suddenly appeared on her deck. So this just sounds like a fun thing. I'll probably save it for closer to Valentine's Day, but sounds really cute. So that is everything that I'm hauling and unhauling for the month of June. There's a lot coming in, a lot going out. I like all the movement, but now I'm going to go put all this away. Goodness gracious. Let me know if there's any of these haul books that I need to prioritize, and if you've read any, let me know what you think. And as always, check my Pango bookstore if you're interested in any of the unhauls. They'll always be there, and I'm getting a stack that's way too large, so I am deeply discounting things. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.